Hey everyone, what's up? It's Kirsten over at Katie's House Foundation and Temple View Capital, providing private money loans to builders and real estate agents. Today, we are going to be talking about if you have a shared house, whether it's luxury or low income, what you can do if maybe you do an inspection and the resident has a pigsty, or if you're concerned about bugs of some kind or preventing bed bugs. I have Julie on. Julie, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you. Yeah, let's talk about how when you have a tenant maybe that complains about having bugs than they didn't have them before, and you know that maybe possibly the other person in the house is causing the problem and what you want to do about it.
So that's super interesting. As a Just so you guys know, I used to own a pest control company. I started it from scratch in 2014, and then I bought a competitor. And through some of our partners and hiring, we grew that company, and then we sold it. And we specialized in bed bugs. And if you have somebody who brings bed bugs into your location, you can identify that room pretty easily with a few of the products that we're going to discuss in just 1 minute. So we're going to talk about prevention, detection, which would be identifying where it's coming from, and then treatment of that. But before we get into that, Julie, I wanted to talk about the pigsty. That's not a very nice word, but we have seen some houses this week where somebody will say like, oh my gosh, I got a picture like the one on the screen, and this is what it looks like. And I'm concerned about this person being a hoarder and or bringing bugs into the facility. And I might have, a house where it's roommate housing, or again, you could have a luxury hotel. So Julie, you had thought what when you saw a picture like this?
Well, as you brought up, I did see a post that indicated that a person had gotten a picture of a room that somebody was occupying, and it looked full of garbage, nothing, lots of things on the floor, lots of things that would normally not belong on the floor but have not been picked up. And obviously, as a police officer, I can tell you, going into people's houses, when there's people that have a little bit more than they should and maybe don't have the same signs. And you had mentioned that you owned a pest control company, and I've had the opportunity to have bed bugs in my rentals as well. So I do have experience with the fact that I went in there and felt like, okay, this person is not keeping the room, any room, actually, living room, kitchen, bedrooms. And really, it's a thing where you gotta stay on top of it, and you gotta check on this person, because just letting them get out of line and not keeping that boundary is going to cause problems. And obviously, you owning a pest control company, that they try to hide it from them, and they don't want to pick up. So it's very frustrating as a landlord owner, and it's a very common problem, actually.
Yeah. And, also we talked about a little bit, you and I just offline, why maybe people don't want to do Section 8 housing from an investor perspective. Maybe there's drugs and alcohol going on. Maybe there's frustration, and maybe the person puts their hole into the stucco wall. And as an investor, you're the one who has to fix that type of situation, just like you have to fix a house or a room where the person lets it get a lot of damage, I suppose is the best way to put it. And so let's talk about the solutions right now. The solutions at Katie's House Foundation, what we have found out that works is having a housekeeper go in once a month and including that cost in the cost of the place. And so that's a non-negotiable, where that housekeeper goes in and does a deep clean. There should already be like a house chore list. And maybe that gets rotated. I'm not quite sure how you want to do it in your place, but having a housekeeper go in there basically gets eyes on the inside. And if that housekeeper reports back that he or she is uncomfortable, then that would be a clear indicator that there's something going on. Also having your maintenance crew go over and take care of the house is very helpful to also have eyes inside the house. And these are not you doing an inspection every week, which is what I heard some people talk about doing, is actually going to the properties and looking in the bedrooms once
Well,
a week.
if I can interject there, I was very active in one of my buildings, and I was there doing things just to try to, it was a little bit tougher of a neighborhood. It needed a little bit more TLC. And I did have a tenant that I knew he, being a man, he's kind of running a bachelor pad. He had a roommate. I didn't know the severity of it though until they moved out. And I think, yeah, having to be able to go there and having good communication with the people, either the maintenance, the cleaning, so that it's not obviously you all the time, but coming up with a plan though with that, unit to inspect it inside is, or if it's just the private room, to inspect that and to be able to, legally protect yourself. We obviously we were talking about damages and things like that, because ultimately this is probably going to be a damage too. Those bed bugs get into those trim, the wood trim on the floors. Obviously the carpet's got to go if you got carpet, but your hardwood can get infested too. So it's very important that you have a way to, and I think you were going to talk about some of the products that you should have in the house to kind of counteract some of this, that if you're not there, or your employees don't catch it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to catch it early, and then you have to have ways of preventing, detecting, and treating it, of course, without necessarily impacting everyone. Although in the case of bed bugs, I mean, you really should, check everything thoroughly, because you're right, they do get into baseboards and they like wood. And so we're not saying that everyone has bed bugs if they also have a mess. We're just saying that it's certainly harder to detect those things. And of course, if you're not having in place a standard operating procedure, like a housekeeper that goes in once a month to check the traps, for example, that's not a pest control company. That's just your housekeeper who's cleaning the floor, who can see with her naked eye or his naked eye if there is a bug under that person's room. And that could be just a fly, it could be ants, it could just be your normal stuff, right? If they have food in their room, which probably they're not supposed to have, but people definitely do. We're all adults. We know that we bring things in our room and maybe leave a dish or something. So let's talk about, let me share my screen. This is stuff that you can get on Amazon. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the Allergies bed bug mattress protector. So I will tell you that you can get this at Walmart most of the time. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it wholesale from the manufacturer like we used to, but in a pinch, we would just go on Amazon and just order it directly to the customer's house. And the thing that is very special about this particular brand is that the zipper and the material, it's made in such a way that the tiny bugs, no matter their size, can't get through it, no matter what kind of bug it is. And that zipper has to be closed, and there's even a Velcro over it. So even that little tiny hole at the end of the zipper, it's non-existent. It protects your mattresses. So that way, even if there's water spills and things of that nature, you're protecting that mattress. Now at Katie's house, we can get these mattresses for, I don't know, maybe $89 at Walmart. But when you have 7 of them or 8 of them, the thing here that's important is that if somebody says, oh my gosh, I have a bite, maybe it could even just be a rash, to be honest, from being outside or something, who knows? You and they, more importantly, they should be able to peel off their sheets and see that this is a white cover. And, if they flip it over and they look underneath, they should really see nothing on it. A clean bed, mattress, especially with a white zippered cover, you'd be able to see anything if it was on there. So moving on to,
and I'd like to premise by saying that a lot of times you'll notice it when it looks like a dirt stain. It doesn't look like little bugs. A lot of times it'll just look like like somebody didn't clean grease off of or like somebody had a finger and put grease on it. That's what it would look like.
Yeah, so you can look at, and I can bring it up while you guys are looking at these climb up intersector traps. These are very inexpensive.
And where do those traps go?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you the life cycle of a bed bug so you guys had an idea. They're actually clear or white when they're small. And so what Julie is talking about is accurate, that they do. Here, let me just show you guys really super quick. Can you see this here, Julie?
Yep.
Okay. I just want you guys to know that actually they do go from white to clear, and then they turn into this dark apple seed type of insect. And when they're super tiny, yeah, you definitely are not going to see them. But they grow within 14 to 21 days. So within a month, you would definitely see a full-blown adult, and it would look just like an apple seed, or their feces looks like dirt, which is what Julie was talking about. And of course, if you roll over one after it's bitten on you, then it's going to leave a red stain on your sheets or your pillow. So there should be evidence of this within 2 weeks. Absolutely. They're going to go from clear to black. And so that just helps you out in knowing that. Let's jump back over to Amazon. So Amazon, these are climb up intersector traps. And what you do is you throw these underneath your bed. And I recommend, and what we buy is we buy a metal bed. And the reason that it's metal is because bugs can't climb up the legs. And so these particular traps are interesting because you don't need anything else. You can just put this underneath the foot of the bed. You need to have one at every single foot. And so if there are bugs of any kind that are outside of the bed, so let's just say they come in from the window or on your clothes or something, and you take your jacket off and you throw it on your chair in your bedroom or something. Let's say you're laying in bed and that bug can't fly. Bed bugs can't fly, but other bugs can't fly too, so spiders, etc., and ants. They would actually climb up the outside of this, and then they would fall into this little pit in the middle. And so a housekeeper or even the average person, they could see this with, if there was a live bed bug in there on week 2, they would see it. It would look just like this. And they can't get over this second little hill to get to the foot. If it was a metal bed, they wouldn't climb up it. They couldn't climb up it anyways. But if it was a wood bed, they definitely could. Or if your blankets were touching the ground, then this would not work. So you would never want your sheets or your blankets hanging all the way to the floor anyways. This is really important for identifying if they're coming from outside the bed or down the bed, because if they were coming down the foot of the bed, then they would fall on the inside of this bowl, which is near the actual foot instead of the outside. And so that's a very good indicator that the person laid in the bed with them on them, like on their clothes. Maybe they went to a movie and they sat in a chair, or they stayed in a hotel. Could have been a 5-star
or a friend's house.
Or a friend's house. Yeah. And they basically just got in bed. And for one reason or another, right? I mean, if there's nobody in that room, the bed bugs will generally hide. I mean, they're nocturnal, so they will hide when it's daylight, unless it's such a bad infestation. But generally, they're going to hide in the dark, and then they're going to come out in the dark. But if there's nobody in that room for a period of time, let's just say a few weeks. So if you have a vacant room, then they're going to try and find the human breath, or even an animal, a mammal's breath, so dog or cat. And so they're going to climb down that bed. And of course, if they can't get inside of it, then they're not going to go inside, because you've got a cover protecting the bed. So they're not going to hole up on the inside. They're going to go down the leg. They're going to fall in here. Or if there isn't a trap like this, then they're just going to go ahead and walk onto the next bedroom. And then they're going to hang out with the person in that bed and make a home there. So that's pretty gross.
Or the next room. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely something where, it's easy for several types of bugs, to be in the room, based on some of the pictures that you were originally showing. So it's it's telling when you've got somebody that you feel like, this, and it's very expensive to fix the problem. So to communicate with them and to be able to have, like you said, either housekeeper or maintenance, to consistently have things to look for, to report back about, so that you can catch it before it gets out of control.
Yeah, these would be the two products that you should have for prevention and detection. And your housekeeper or even the residents, they can be checking them. And, if somebody's room is 100% clear and you have, let's say, a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, or you have a 4-unit property and their 3 units are always fine, but you have this one that's never fine, then that should be a pretty good indicator, right? And people are going to be embarrassed naturally. And if they don't have the means to take care of it and eradicate the problem, they have no choice but to continue living with them. And they do have babies so quickly
And
within
they'll move
21
out.
days. What's that?
Honestly, they're gonna move out. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they'll move out. Maybe they want to stay and put up a fight or something because they, don't want to go through the trouble. But that's a whole nother thing, right? Is getting people out.
Well, I just, from my experience, I had one tenant that tried to hide it. She would buy some of the sprays and stuff and try to spray it and control it. But it got to the point where it's like all of a sudden she was gone. And it was, it was not good for my upstairs tenant because I had a problem downstairs. And well, like you said, they're going to go somewhere else once they don't have anything occupying where they're at.
Yeah, so I'm actually showing you a spray right now. It's Eco Raider, and this is a really good one that you can buy. All the stuff that we're talking about right now is safe. And so this is a spray that you can use to spray wherever you need to. And then diatomaceous earth. There's 2 different kinds. You want to make sure that you get the food grade, and you can get this with this little duster. And so this food grade with the duster, you can actually spray, even in the outlets, they get in the outlets. And so the treatment of bed bugs, just so you guys know, is largely like a lice treatment. As far as like a major cleaning, everything has to go into the dryer for 30 minutes on high heat. Water does not do much. Freezing them, it would have to be so super cold. I mean, and you would have to have a giant freezer. Heating them, people do heat them, but then you normally have to have your sprinklers turned off, right? And so that's a whole thing. But you can pay professionals to do that, but you still have to, of course, identify that it doesn't come back in. So you normally have to do 2 treatments within 14 days. So that way you catch any eggs that was missed the first time, regardless of heat or cold, or just doing these products that I'm showing you right now. And then I want to show you one last thing, which are Nuvon Pro Strips. So Nuvon Pro Strips are pretty interesting. These are not eco-friendly and they are dangerous. Always read the label. The label is the law. And basically what these guys do is you could take your picture frames that are on your nightstands, because remember, they love wood, and or even some other things that you might cherish, like a painting above your bed. And you could either put them into a plastic bag and you could put one of these strips in there and seal it. And basically it's going to fumigate everything inside that bag. Or you can put these in the room and then you would have to seal the room and then it would fumigate the room. You would definitely not want anyone in the room or even in the house if you needed to go that route. You can see that it's intended for sale to and used by pest management professionals only. However, Amazon has approved it for consumer sale, which, just so you guys know, they're super strict on what they do put on their website. Even if you don't believe it, they really are. And so this, again, is more of a fumigation tactic. If you just said, like, I'm just going to fumigate my house and leave, you probably still need to have the other things that I've already shown you and do all of it so it's comprehensive right away. And then 2 weeks later, do it again. And then you'll probably be pretty safe, to be honest, as long as that person doesn't bring them back in again.
Yep. And staying on that and making that boundary, I think, is the key to the beginning of the prevention.
All right. Well, I hope that you guys found all of this useful. I want to just share shelterregistry.com with everyone because we're trying to do a public service announcement and push this out and have everyone, if you have a low income house, Section 8, sober living, aged out foster care, you name it, roommate housing. But basically, if you are willing to work with people who have bad credit or no credit, or maybe they don't even have a job and they're just trying to get back on their feet and they have some type of funding from some source, we want everyone to know that they can come here and start searching, or they can list their houses. And if you even want to make your house available to a nonprofit, like you're an investor and you say, like, I want a nonprofit to rent my house, and then they can operate it and sublease out the rooms, we are going to open that up as well. So you can come here and just put it on and say, listen, this is open to women, whoever wants to be a nonprofit and lease this house out, contact me. I'll lease you my house at market rents. And then you can put it back on shelter registry as, say, like, I don't know, maybe it's for battered women or whomever it is that you want to serve. So Julie, that's all that I have for today. Do you have anything else?
Just like and subscribe, ask any questions below, make any comments. We always comment back, and subscribe to our channel. Check us out. Thanks a lot.
All right. Have a good one.